This is the Automitrailleuse de Combat AMC.35, otherwise known as the Rayonde ACG-1. Was an improvised version of the earlier AMC-34 light cavalry tank, uniquely featuring the two-man APX-2 turret, which was uncommon for the French doctrine that focused around one-man turrets and two crew tanks to increase the amount of mobilized armor and with fewer men. The vehicle faced issues in mechanical reliability and the lack of armor. Even after initial testing and adjustments requested by the French HQ, it was still rejected. However, with the remilitarization of the Rhineland in 1936, 17 vehicles were ordered as an emergency measure, which increased to 50 in total. Earlier, though, Belgium had been the first buyer of the AMC-35 hull with an order of 25 in 1935, assumed to be the Series 2 AMC-34s, but only received them in 1937 after many delays and very slow production lines at Rayonde. The APX-2 turrets were separately bought from the Bataillon Châtillon without guns and were armed with the Belgian 47mm FRC cannons. The vehicles in French service, meant as reserves, had not even been equipped to units or trained on before being rushed towards the front lines at the breakthrough of Sedan, where, like the Belgian AMC-35s previously, they fared pretty poorly against the German onslaughts. In War Thunder, the AMC-35 is not a very interesting vehicle. It's only on my list because it's part of the lineup, but you do need to research this tank to be able to unlock the next light tank that is way more worth it. The Chars de Cavalerie Somois 1935 S, or S.35, is a French cavalry tank. It was a remarkably maneuverable tank for its period, superior in armor and armament to both its French and foreign counterparts. It was constructed of a well-sloped, mostly cast armor parts, which made it costly to create and time-consuming to maintain. The hull and turret were cast armor with maximum thickness of 47 and 40mm of armor, respectively. The bottom was made of two longitudinal parts, and the superstructure was separated into the front and back sections. The turret was a variant of the APX-1 turret that was primarily used on the Char B1 heavy tank. Similarly to the Char B1 heavy tank, the commander was tasked with directing the tank while also loading, aiming, and firing the 47mm SA-37 L.32 tank gun. In War Thunder, the S.35 is actually a very good tank. Its gun is not much, but the armor is certainly interesting. It's a smooth bore cast armor, meaning you can't angle it effectively, but surprisingly, the armor is somehow trolly? I don't know why, but I was able to bounce a ZIS 30 round with this thing. But still, stay in cover. The Chars D2 was a French medium tank operated during the interwar periods between World War I and World War II. While the Char D1 was ordered, a design was developed to create a more advanced tank. The Char D1 had already evolved from an infantry support tank to a medium tank capable of engaging and eliminating enemy tanks. This made it the obvious candidate as a replacement for the Char B1 heavy tank, as the latter was on the verge of being prohibited by the Armament Limitation Treaty under the auspices of the League of Nations, which would impose a weight limit of 20 metric tons for armored fighting vehicles. In War Thunder, this is a powerful tank. Unlike the S.35, you can actually angle this tank, bringing its effective armor to close to 100mm of thickness at 1.3. And with a weirdly shaped turret, this thing is almost impenetrable at its BR. The P.7.T AA actually has no history. It's just truck with gun that Gaijin added for France. It only has 4 clip-fed 13.2mm machine guns at 1.3, which isn't horrible, but it isn't very good either. The P.7.T AA is a very classic interwar anti-air defense system with its gun mounted on a mobile but vulnerable chassis. With only 3 exposed members, anything can damage, disable, or destroy this vehicle. Its armor does not provide enough cover to the crew from any angle. Even small armed guns can easily destroy this vehicle. Obviously, this is the first AA gun, but still, this thing is not very good. During World War II, France's armored forces were decimated, suffering heavy losses against German units and especially against their tanks. One of the attempts made to overcome this issue was the conversion of the Lorraine37L tractor into a tank destroyer, fitted with a 47mm SA-37 anti-tank gun. Even though construction of the prototype was finished quickly, by the time it was ready for production, France had already capitulated. In War Thunder, this is actually a pretty good tank. It's so small, it's extremely hard to see from afar. Mixed with a long 37mm gun, this thing is devastating. Well, as long as you don't get spotted. This was my full review of the 1.3 French tank lineup. Soon, I'll be reviewing the French 1.7 and 2.3 lineup. If you're interested, subscribe and keep a lookout.